Today I review a psychological horror romance action incest anime, Elfen lied. It's pronounced lead, you fuck. You know, I'm really tired of watching poorly executed psychological horror anime, or in other words, just shit, and having recently watched the somewhat highly popular gore show that is Elfen Lied, I can now see how very wrong you people are on Mal. Elfen Lied, or whatever you want to call it, is a clusterfuck of a horror show that takes itself far too seriously for its own good, but that's probably the reason why it's so popular. The plot makes little to no sense, characters are so laughably funny, the gore is tasteless and lowbrow, and for the fun of it, let's just add nudity and random incest, cause why the fuck not? I am not stealing Gigok's joke. But even having said all that, it's still quite entertaining, but not for the reasons you would expect. In this alternate reality, a type of mutated homo sapien known as Diclonius has risen up in the world, believed to be selected by God himself. Yeah, don't question it. It is predicted that these evolved creatures will soon lead to the destruction of mankind. The Diclonius have two horns in their head. Why? Because fuck you, and possess telekinetic abilities called vectors. Due to their dangerous powers, the government have captured and isolated them in secret laboratories and are now conducting experiments on them. The main female lead, Lucy, who is a psychotic Diclonius, manages to break free from one of the labs, and by break free I mean she brutally massacres everyone using her vectors. On her escape, however, she is sniped in the head and falls into the ocean only to wash up onto a beach naked, found by our other main characters, Kota and Yuka, who respectively are one of the most idiotic and blandest main characters I have ever seen. Oh wait, and did I mention that Lucy suffers from amnesia now and can only say one word? Great job, we fucked her character already. Great job. Great job! Kota and Yuka take pity on the newly retarded Lucy and decide to let her stay in their home, cause that's what you do with strangers you've never met before. You take them into your house and live with them. Yeah, no, it's fucking retarded. Anyway, over the course of the show, the government sends out SWAT teams and other Diclonius to either capture or terminate Lucy, but of course, every time Lucy encounters them, she regains her memory just long enough to defeat them, only to revert back to her usual self, so that Kota and Yuka have no idea on what the fuck is going on. The fights themselves are uninteresting since they're completely one-sided. What usually happens during those fights is that you have 5 to 10 guys shooting while standing still, as Lucy casually walks up and sadistically murders them to an hilarious extent. This linear and very predictable plotline continues for the entirety of the show, with the addition of adding more Diclonius and strangers to the household because fuck logic. Is there anything else I missed? Let's see, I wish I was joking, but there really isn't anything else that happens. Okay, I might be slightly exaggerating, since if there's anything remotely good about the story, it's the themes it presents on the ethics of human experimentation and the discrimination of being different. However, the series doesn't expand on those themes, but rather takes this opportunity to provide overly dark and edgy backstories to the main characters. Now, with the telling of these backstories, one can react in two different ways, the first of which being completely disturbed and grossed out by what happens in them, which is understandable since who in their right mind wouldn't be disturbed in seeing children getting dismembered or puppies getting beat to death. Oh wait. What? What? Look at that guy's face! The second reaction, however, is finding all the situations to be utterly hysterical, which is the reaction I had. Now, before you dislike the video, I'm going to explain why I personally found them to be funny. Gore in anime, if handled properly, can be used to intensify a dark atmosphere. It can be used to complement a series with dark themes to make a particular scene more creepy and disturbing. Good examples of these are Higurashi and, to an extent, another if it's not being retarded. Elfen Lied, however, uses gore whenever it can in the most tasteless, random, and spontaneous times. Pair this with the random nudity the show likes to throw at you, and you're left with the most unintentionally funny moments. Promotion! For example, how can I take this seriously if they're having a heart-to-heart conversation and one of them spontaneously combusts into an explosion of blood? The answer is... As for the backstories, no scene or act can really be too over the top as long as there is build-up and doesn't happen out of nowhere. Elfen Lied has no build-up to most of those scenes and occur purely to surprise and disgust you. This is called shock factor, where a series has an over-the-top dramatic scene intentionally to provoke a reaction. Oh, you beat a puppy to death? What was the reasoning behind it? You had a traumatizing childhood? No. You had abusive guardians? No. Let's see, you did it to bully Lucy because she's different and has horns. What a cunt. So for those of you calling me sick or insane, yeah, fuck off. Kevin, you're supposed to get people to like you. Well, shit. Anyway, with that out of the way, the ending of the series has no actual conclusion to most of the characters, and many questions are left unanswered. So if you're looking forward to a solidifying ending, you won't find one because the writers thought it would be a great idea to have a flashback inside of a flashback episode. Yeah, I'm not even joking. Also, random incest, but wait, they're cousins, so it's slightly less weird. Isn't that right, Sword Art Online? Having said all that though, people will view Elfen Lied in two ways, by either being too shocked by how this thing actually exists, or laughing completely hysterically of how funny this comedy show is. Either way, you enjoy it regardless. Unless of course you're still completely offended at me for laughing at the puppy scene, and to that I go, with the exception of Lucy, all the other characters are extremely unlikable, either by how stupid they are or how useless they are. But even then, Lucy's character is only likable once you find out her backstory, which doesn't come until the later half of the series. So for the majority of the time she's stuck as a Pokemon. It's like the writers were trying to have bad characters. Sword Art Online again. Although when Lucy isn't stuck in the role of playing a retard, she actually has strong justification towards her hatred against normal humans. Due to her tragic past, Lucy sees humans as despicable and cruel beings, and so relentlessly murders them in the most spectacular fashion. Next we have Koto, who hasn't got a last name because he's a faggot. His character is so excruciatingly boring that he literally provides no progression to the plot at all and is just there to be an idiot. Speaking of idiots, fuck Yuka, she is so goddamn annoying, and the thing she says... What the fuck? Oh, and guys, incest! And as for the other characters, you've got pedophile bait number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh wait, her dad was an actual pedophile. Stamp of Holden approved! If you couldn't already tell, the characters are absolute shite. Animated by ARMS, the animation is pretty underwhelming and generic for the most part. It's definitely not bad for 2004, but they do reuse scenes quite often. The character designs are very average, nothing really detailed, and the backgrounds are just plain as can be. They also use this jelly-like CG effect for the vector arms, which is quite jarring to look at. But hey, at least when they kill a person, they know how to animate blood and gore, so that's a plus. Not to mention, they are ARMS, known for Ikitosen and Queen's Blade, so they know how to animate boobs so that you have something to look at. The only notable soundtrack for Elfen Lied is of course the opening theme Lilium by Kumiko Noma. I know it's been said many times over, but the calming and soothing vocal piece sung during the opening tricks you into thinking the series has something worth of merit or value, which it doesn't, but you're gonna think that anyway. In fact, the opening song is so well above the other OSTs that I have to play alternate versions of the song as background music. While yes, it is good, it can be repetitive. The voice acting has no praiseworthy mentions and is quite forgettable for that matter. Lucy's voice is probably the best, but that's not saying much. Surprisingly enough, despite all the shit I gave Elfen Lied in this review, I quite enjoyed it. Not for being this bloodbath of a gore anime, but rather for giving me the most unintentional laughter in a serious anime, ahead of another in Mirror Nikki, which is quite a feat. So in that respect, well done Elfen Lied. You're still a shit horror, but well done. The scores I gave Elfen Lied were Story 5, Characters 3, Animation 5.5, Sound 5, Enjoyment 6, leaving an overall score of 4.8. As for my recommendation, Elfen Lied is a series that you should at least experience one time, no matter how you react to it. There's really no other show that's quite as tasteless with its gore, so who knows, you might end up liking it, like the thousands of people on Mal, you fucking idiots. Though if you're like me and can see through the forcefully done overdramatic edgy scenes, this is a great comedy. For similar anime, I recommend Dangan can't do it, Blue Literature, and of course Higurashi. Anyway, leave a comment telling me how screwed up I am for laughing at a puppy getting beat to death, and with that, it's been Kevin Ya, and